The Miami Heat have become the laughingstock of the NBA. Let's think about it. The past few seasons, they have overachieved every single season in the playoffs. Jimmy Butler has a great playoff run. He'll take them to the conference finals the year before this one. He'll take them to the NBA finals this year. And every single year they overachieve. They are talked about as Pat Riley is their GM. They're going to add a superstar to this overachieving playoff team. And every single year, they don't do anything in the offseason. This year, they were rumored to get one of the best playoff players and best players in the league, Damian Lillard. And it was almost a sure thing. Damian Lillard said he only wanted to go to Miami. And Miami fumbled it. But talking about the offseason, let's look at the moves that Miami did make. Okay, they lost Vincent and Max Schrute, who was their offense in the 2023 postseason. In the postseason, Max Schrute and Vincent was all they had down the stretch outside of Jimmy Butler. Yes, Bam Adebayo had good games, but their two playmakers in the end of the day were Vincent and Max Schrute. Yes, two undrafted guys. It's Miami Heat style. But in the end of the day, you lose your two best offensive players. How are you going to rebound? In the offseason, they also have to deal with this horrible Kyle Lowry contract, who when they brought him in, he was a pretty solid player. A really good starting point guard. You know, you kind of get what you expect from him. But now he's terrible. He's a bench-level player, if that. So what are you going to get from Kyle Lowry? You're not going to get anything except for $30 million on your books every single year. And this year is the last one, but you'd have to ride out a whole nother year of this horrible Kyle Lowry contract. The next contract you have to deal with this postseason that they haven't dealt with is Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson is a liability on both ends at this point. Yes, he might shoot 38% from three on a lot of attempts a game, but on defense, he's not worth the sacrifice. He is just horrible on defense, 6'8", cannot move his feet, has no strength. He can't block shots. He can't deflect passes. Duncan Robinson is a cone on defense, and he's become a cone on offense too. Also in the offseason, they got Jaime Jaquez Jr., if that's what I remember his name to be. Yes, that's a young player, but they have no young talent coming in. So normally when you see an offseason where a team doesn't do much, it's because they can bank on young talent to bail them out. But there is no such talent. The other thing they had to deal with this offseason is knowing that Jimmy Butler's time is ticking. This era of the Jimmy Butler era in Miami is coming to a close not because he's become any worse of a player, but because of how old he is. Yes, you're going to be paying him $50 million late into his 30s, and that might be seen as a bad thing to some people, but in the end of the day, Jimmy Butler doesn't have many good years left, and they wasted one because what are they going to get in this offseason? They lost Damian Lillard. The best they can get is maybe Malcolm Brogdon. And is Malcolm Brogdon going to save your season? Definitely not. The other thing they didn't address this offseason is spacing. They had no spacing down the stretch at times last year. And that's even with Vincent and Max Schrute balling out of their mind. But spacing is very important for Jimmy Butler. For him to be the best playmaker he can be, he needs spacing. And even though he did make it happen this postseason without spacing, they didn't address this need either. Jaime Jaquez Jr., the one rookie they brought in, is he going to shoot 45% from three and have a Stephen Curry type year? Well, definitely not. So they did not address spacing either. And in the end of the day, for the Miami Heat to get to that promised land and win an NBA championship, they need to improve. And they haven't. But really quickly, let's look at this very weird career arc of Pat Riley as a GM. Pat Riley as a GM was actually very sought after. Everybody wanted him because of what he has done in the past. He's made some great teams in the past, and as we know, he made the Big Three Miami Heat. That's why every Miami Heat fan for the last, 5 years has been very optimistic to what Pat Riley can bring this team. And he hasn't brought him anything, actually. Yes, did he bring the Miami Heat 2 championships with that Big Three that he put together, spending big money on superstars, spending money on depth, getting any player he can, even bringing over Ray Allen, who was perceived as a really good player once they picked him up. Pat Riley simply these days is not an aggressive GM. If he was an aggressive GM, he would have got that Damian Lillard trade done. I'm sorry, yes, Damian Lillard is getting into his 30s, but so is Jimmy Butler. So if I'm trading Tyler Hero on picks, I'm more than happy to trade him Tyler Hero on picks. Because Tyler Hero is good, but he was out all of last postseason, so he was basically a net negative. He was nothing. He was a useless contract, if anything, last postseason. And that's what you play for as a Miami Heat. The Miami Heat say they don't hang division banners or banners that they made the finals. They only hang championship banners. And well, they're not going to hang a championship banner for a long time after this happened. But the optimism that has been put in Heat fans' minds has ruined the whole perception of the Miami Heat. Because year in and year out, they'll overachieve and not do anything in the offseason. And it has come to hurt their organization. Pat Riley's reputation is in the mud as far as I'm concerned, at least for me. But in the end of the day, the Miami Heat since day one have always needed an aircraft carrier type player to come over to win a championship. First, it was Shaquille O'Neal. And yes, I know he only averaged like 13 and 9 in the finals. But their aircraft carrier was Dwayne Wade, and they technically had two aircraft carrier type players. Aircraft carrier, by the way, is like a Hall of Famer, a guy that can change the course of a franchise, bring you winning. And the Miami Heat haven't brought anything like that since Jimmy Butler. But Jimmy Butler might not even be an aircraft carrier. Is he good enough to be a Hall of Famer? Maybe. Is he good enough to be the first option on a championship team? I seriously doubt it. So for the sole reason that the Miami Heat were not willing to get rid of some of their future this offseason, for a player that wanted to play for them and said that he would only play for them, they ended up costing themselves 4 or 5 years of contending. Because I don't know who they're going to get. The one pivot they have is Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell's not happy with the Cleveland Cavaliers and he wants to get out, and this will be his last year on the Cavs. But that's your one pivot, is Donovan Mitchell. Is he an aircraft carrier? Well, definitely not. Dwayne Wade and Shaq, 2 aircraft carriers. Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Chris Bosh, 3 of them. All of their championship history has come from huge superstar players, and that's how NBA history is made up of. The best player in the league every year normally wins Finals MVP. Jimmy Butler's a really good player. Is he ever perceived as a top 5 player? Definitely not. So you cannot think that Jimmy Butler can bring you a championship. Although I am optimistic as a Heat fan myself because I did grow up in Florida. We're not doing shit this year. Am I happy when we upset other teams who had higher aspirations than us? Of course. But that's all we'll ever be in this Jimmy Butler era. Thank you, Pat Riley. So that is how the Miami Heat have become the laughingstock of the NBA. Tell me your thoughts on the video. Tell me if you agree. Tell me if the Miami Heat can make the NBA Finals again, because I think the East is a 2-team race now between the Bucks and the Celtics. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I'll see y'all later. Peace out.
Hey, come on, I got a bag on me. You try to take it, leave you stinking like your last homie. She kinda cakey, little baby, put that ass on me. But I ain't that horny, do you got some cash for me? Why every time you ask him that, bitches act funny? And you keep trying to hold the strap, you won't slap for me. You too happy, I can tell you never had money. Every time you get on live, gotta flash money.